Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something I think almost every growing business hits at some point, that communication chaos, when info just seems to vanish.
Oh, absolutely. And we've been looking at this article, exploring one potential fix for this. It focuses on a tool called Pulse.
Pulse, right, and that's part of a bigger app, voice model,
All right.
for Shopify users.
Exactly. Built for Shopify merchants. So our mission here is to really unpack what this article reveals about using voice tech, Pulse specifically, to tackle that internal team sync problem. What insights can we pull from this?
Okay, let's dive in. The article starts with a scenario, right? A fictional shop, Coastal Roots Market.
Yeah, Coastal Roots Market, owned by a Daniel Kwan. And it really paints a familiar picture, those early growth struggles.
It really does. Because when you're super small, it's easy. Everyone's kind of in the loop. But add a couple more people, different shifts, maybe someone stocking shelves 1 minute and answering emails the next.
And it gets messy, fast. The article nails the why. You've got morning shifts, evening shifts, people jumping between tasks, busy rushes. It all just sort of fragments communication.
Yeah, and then that crucial update, like when does that weekend sale actually start? Or what did we decide in the quick huddle yesterday? It just gets lost.
Totally. Buried in an email thread someone missed. Or maybe it flew by in Slack ages ago. You know how it is.
And the owner or the manager, they become the bottleneck, don't they? Like this Daniel Kwan character having to say the same things over and over.
Right. Sales starts at noon. Remember, we close at 6 p.m. now. Here's the summary of that feedback again.
It's exhausting. And the real problem, as the source points out, is the team ends up disconnected. They're not all operating from the same information because maybe they can't find it or it changed.
Which is exactly where the article brings in Pulse, positioning it as, well, a potential solution for that specific internal mess.
Okay, Pulse. So what is it fundamentally? How does the article describe it?
It's framed as an internal voice assistant, just for the team.
An internal voice assistant. Okay. How does that actually play out, like day to day?
Well, the way it's described is pretty simple. The owner or manager puts key internal info into what they call a voice model knowledge base.
So things like store hours, promo details, staff memos, that kind of stuff. Summaries, maybe?
Exactly. Summaries of customer feedback collected by other means. Operational notes. Basically, the static info the team constantly needs.
And the key part is how the team gets that info, I assume.
That's the hook. Instead of searching or asking a person, a team member just asks Pulse out loud.
Ah, okay. So they can just say, what were the examples?
Things like, hey, Pulse, when does the weekend sale start? Or what feedback did we get on the new snack line? Even simple stuff like, are we closed on the holiday Monday?
And Pulse just tells them instantly.
That's the idea. It pulls the answer straight from that knowledge base the manager maintains.
Interesting. So let's dig into what the article says Pulse can do. What are its main functions?
Well, primarily providing those answers to operational questions, like the examples we just used.
Yeah.
And also sharing customer-related info that's been logged.
Okay. And it mentions summarizing feedback, too, but specifically feedback that came through another tool, right? The feedback skill.
Yeah, that's an important distinction. It's not collecting the feedback itself. Its main job is helping the team stay in sync, but with less effort.
So it replaces digging through emails or messages with just asking.
Right. One central source, accessed by voice. It's less about being a fancy database and more about the conversational access to the information.
You don't read it, you ask it. That's quite different.
Yeah, and the article uses a nice analogy. It calls Pulse a shared voice-based memory for the team.
A shared memory, I like that. Like a team brain you can just query.
Kind of, yeah. But it's important to understand its limits, too. The source is pretty clear on what Pulse isn't for.
Okay, good point. What can't it do?
Well, like we said, it doesn't collect new feedback. That's a separate function, a different skill.
And it's not managing live dynamic stuff like inventory counts changing in real time or prices or processing orders.
Definitely not. It's not plugged into those live systems. And it's not meant to be your POS system or, your Trello board for tasks.
Got it. So its role is very specific. Serve up static, preloaded team knowledge via voice, not real-time operations or data input.
Precisely. It's about accessing the info that's already been put into its knowledge base for the team.
And Pulse itself is just one piece of this bigger thing, voice model. What does the article tell us about that wider platform?
So Voice Model is presented as this AI voice assistant app, purpose-built for Shopify stores.
And the ambition seems bigger than just internal comms. It's about interacting with the store via voice, right, for owners and customers.
Yeah, the idea is using natural conversation instead of, typing everything or navigating complex menus,
Yeah.
maybe even without looking at a screen for some things.
The source suggests voice model could kind of reshape how people engage with online stores. Make it more intuitive, maybe, more accessible.
That's the vision presented, making it feel a bit more human, perhaps.
And it probably does more than just pulse, right? What other functions were mentioned?
Yeah, the article lists some general capabilities, likely handled by different skills within voice model. Things like answering customer questions about products, maybe sharing discount codes, providing support info, possibly even those external inventory checks, although Pulse doesn't do the live ones.
Okay. And they listed specific skills.
Mm-hmm. Navigate, support, deals, feedback, inventory, and Pulse, of course. Quite a suite.
And technically, anything stand out.
They mentioned support for, like, over 30 languages,
Yeah.
customizable AI voices, and apparently a simple setup process.
And the benefit for the customer side, what's the angle there?
The article argues that offering voice interaction makes stores more inclusive and maybe more engaging, especially for people multitasking or mainly using phones, voice-first users.
Right, so the whole platform's tagline seems to be where conversation meets commerce.
Nicely sums it up. And bringing it back to the impact on internal teams, the article really connects Pulse back to those initial problems at Coastal Route Market.
That fragmentation, the missed updates, feedback getting lost in the shuffle.
Exactly. Pulse, according to the source, directly targets those issues by creating that central, easily queried knowledge hub.
That phrase they used, ask once and know, that really captures the benefit, doesn't it?
It does. Cuts out the guesswork, the repetition.
And I liked the description of the result, not just more efficient, but actually calmer. Which makes sense, right? Less frustration trying to find basic info.
Totally. It underlines that this kind of tech isn't just a front-end gimmick for customers. It can genuinely change the internal workflow, the rhythm of the business, how the team actually operates together.
That internal culture piece is interesting, and that final metaphor the article used was quite powerful.
The one about the heartbeat?
Yeah, with Pulse, the heartbeat of your store gets stronger. It really speaks to team sync being fundamental to the business's health.
So if we boil down the key insight from this source material, it seems to be that voice tech is moving beyond just customer service chatbots. It's becoming a tool for something really critical internally: team synchronization and knowledge access, especially in those fast-moving small business environments.
It really makes you think, though. If you take this idea, this concept of a voice-activated shared internal knowledge base, where else could that go? How might that change the way teams communicate in completely different industries, not just retail? What other benefits or maybe even new challenges pop up when you start relying on voice for internal info?
Definitely something to chew on. Lots of potential there.